I have to say, I love competition in the business world. It forces a lot of innovation and progress. And that is not something that has traditionally been present in the American cruiser market, what with Harley-Davidson seemingly sitting forever on the Evolution and later the twin-cam motors, and mostly updating their paint every year. But the revival of Indian has seemingly lit a fire under the motor company's butt, especially back in 2019 when Indian introduced the Challenger and started comparing it head-to-head to the Road Glide. The Indian was better at everything except being a Harley, so Harley-Davidson had to resort to a snarky comeback that stayed away from any performance claims. But then the motor company got busy punching out its Milwaukee 8 motor to compete with the Challenger's liquid-cooled PowerPlus 108, and eventually topped out at 127 horsepower and 145 pound-feet of torque on the impressive CVO Road Glide ST. Check out my review of that bike in the top right corner. Now that's a bit more than the PowerPlus 108's 122 horsepower and 128 pound-feet, but keep in mind that the PowerPlus 108 powers all Challenger and Pursuit models, and now Chieftains and Roadmasters, while most of the Harley baggers do with much lower output motors which put out about 104 horsepower. But despite the fact that Indian has had a power and technology advantage for all those years, the company has not been sitting still. And, as I said already, has just released the Chieftain and Roadmaster models with PowerPlus engines, as well as debuted a more powerful 112 cubic inch PowerPlus from its King of the Baggers winning race bike. Will these new Chieftains eat the Street Glide's lunch? Stay tuned, and as always, if you're enjoying the content, please consider subscribing, liking the video, and sharing it with friends. Suddenly, Indian has a lot of models. The original Chieftain and Roadmaster models with the Thunderstroke motors are still for sale in the lineup for those riders who prefer old school air cooling. I've ridden the Chieftain and it didn't lack power. But progress moves on, and if you want to smoke a Street Glide 117, check out my review of that bike in the top right corner. You will need to swap out that Thunderstroke for a PowerPlus. Essentially, Indian just took the Challenger and put a fork-mounted batwing fairing on it. And bam, we have a Street Glide killer. The PowerPlus 108 is now the base motor of the Chieftain PowerPlus in Standard, Dark Horse, and Limited trims, as well as the Roadmaster Dark Horse and Limited. It is also still the base motor on all Challenger and Pursuit models. However, in addition to that, Indian has introduced a 112 cubic inch PowerPlus kit which will up the power and torque to 126 horsepower and 133 pound-feet, and is offering it as an option on all PowerPlus Dark Horse and Limited models. This is the engine that was developed by Indian's championship-winning race team in the King of the Baggers series and will soon be available for $2,000 US. Canadian prices have not been announced as of the making of this video. Now 4 extra horsepower and 5 extra pound-feet for $2,000 doesn't sound like much, but the 112 motor reputedly feels stronger everywhere because it has a flatter torque curve than the 108. I haven't ridden it, almost no one has yet, so I can't comment, but if it was me, I have to admit that the 108's 122 horsepower and 128 pound-feet is plenty, and I'd rather spend that $2,000 on a Stage 1 and some accessories. However, the bigger deal is that the Chieftain and Roadmaster families now have a motor, the 108 or the 112, which will crush the Street Glide and Ultra. I actually see a lot of Chieftains and Roadmasters around my town, and a more powerful motor will only increase their popularity. Having ridden a Street Glide and a Chieftain before, my personal opinion is that the Chieftain offered more features like the electrically adjustable windshield and better suspension, while the Street Glide used to be a bit better looking, smaller, lighter, and more nimble. With this new model, the Chieftain will definitely walk away from the Street Glide on power, but whether it still feels heavier and less maneuverable remains to be seen. Remember, it's based on the Challenger, which handles great on a twisty road. Price-wise, the PowerPlus 108 Chieftains cost about $2,500 US and $3,200 Canadian dollars more than the Thunderstroke models. However, surprisingly, in the Roadmaster 108s, prices are very close to the Roadmaster bikes with the old Thunderstroke motors. I'm not sure why, but perhaps Indian figures that the average Roadmaster rider might be older and may still prefer an air-cooled Thunderstroke to the new PowerPlus. Both the base Chieftain and Challenger 108 undercut the prices of the Road and Street Glides by a bit, but both also offer higher trim levels which are more expensive. Additionally, they also offer features that the base Harleys don't, like inverted forks, preload knobs, and even electronic preload adjusters and electric windshields. Finally, Indian has gone all out this year by adding other goodies like hill hold control, linked braking which activates and modulates both front and rear brakes for optimal stopping power no matter which brake the rider hits, blind spot monitoring, and a nifty rear collision warning system that flashes the signals if a car approaches from behind too fast or too close. So clearly, Indian is offering more for your money than Harley, and we have a real battle on our hands. I have to say, I love it. How do the respective baggers stack up? To do some generalizing, Indians are larger and more comfy with electrically adjustable windshields and cushier and more sophisticated suspensions. Harleys are a bit smaller, lighter, more nimble in parking lot maneuvers, and to my eye have better paint and fit and finish. You're more likely to find an Indian for close to MSRP, while many, not all, Harley dealers tack on serious extra fees. But there are more Harley dealers around if you need to get your bike serviced or fixed in an emergency. Harley also has a larger community. Which one would I go for? I'm not really a bagger guy, so probably a Softail or a Chief model if I was looking for a cruiser. One thing that is happening with all the updates these companies are making is that you're more likely to find lower priced leftover models from last year, so it might be time to pick up an air-cooled Chieftain or previous gen Street Glide if you're in the market for a new American bagger. So hypothetically, if you were looking for one of these and given all the new updates, what would you go for? Chieftain, Challenger, Street Glide, or Road Glide? Or one of the fully dressed models with a trunk? Please share your thoughts in the comments below, ride safe, check out some of these other videos that may be of interest to you, and may the spokes be with you.